Eddie Cummings, what's up, buddy?
What's going on? How we doing?
Good. I saw you vibing on the video when we get there. It's hard
Wrestle-
not to with that song, right?
WrestleMania week. Come on. You got a vibe.
Absolutely. All-time feud here, but you got three all-time theme music to choose from right there. But I think we made the right choice going the Usos there. Respect.
That's a vibe setter. That's just like,
yeah, we're bringing the heat right away. But you excited for this match before we jump into it? You ready to rock?
oh yeah, I'm very excited for this match. I think this is probably, we'll get into it more, but this has got to be the best built match on the card. But I'm really looking forward to it.
It's the longest built match in the card. All right, the Usos have been tag team champions for about 620 days around WrestleMania weekend. Post WrestleMania 38, Sami started snooping around the bloodline, trying to impress, fit in, and be a part of the family. One by one, Sami would slowly curry favor with each bloodline member. Even got a face-to-face with Roman Reigns in mid-August in the Montreal episode of SmackDown, where the Usos were stuck at the border, where we got an angry Jay on a phone call with Sami. Roman told him to chill. Don't worry about Jay. Come to me. Go through Jimmy. Show your worth to the bloodline. We'll keep talking. Also, you still boys with KO? Tell him Roman Reigns doesn't owe anything to anybody. Story built to a War Games match of Survivor Series. Sami had built up enough goodwill to be a part of the bloodline team. Against the Brawling Brutes, Drew and KO. KO kept telling Sami he needs to turn on the bloodline before they turn on him. Jay overheard it and told Roman right before the match Sami and Roman had a meeting. Sami does not lie to Roman, telling him the truth and vows to continue to show his worth to the bloodline. And he does. He stops a 3 count on a dead Roman. He hits KO right in the groin and shows his loyalty to the bloodline as they merge victorious in the War Games. Jay gets a big pinfall victory, and some would say peak of the storyline here, as Jay would embrace Sami with a massive hug, and the honorary Uso was born. Time to make Sami an official bloodline member. On Raw 30, there is a trial of Sami Zayn. Heyman was there to execute Sami as a rat bastard in cahoots with KO all along. Roman offered Sami defense, but he declined, saying that he was hurt that Heyman would even think of all this, and his defense was that he had no defense. Roman had enough and sent Solo to end Sami, but Jay stepped in and presented the case in favor of Sami. Another great moment in the story, Roman rendered Sami not guilty for now, with his final test being at the Royal Rumble. At the Rumble post-match, it was time to test Sami's loyalty. Roman handed him a chair to finish KO. Sami felt that didn't need to go that far. And then Roman turned his back. Boom. Sami took down the tribal chief. Sami couldn't destroy KO. The bloodline was going too far. Sami couldn't do it anymore. Jimmy and Jay destroyed Sami. Roman got up and mercilessly destroyed Sami to the sound "fuck you, Roman" chants from the crowd. Then Jay was called upon. He bounced. He was out. Perhaps this whole time, Jay saw himself in Sami. Perhaps another peak in the story. We got another big match at the Elimination Chamber. Roman versus Sami. Again, some would say the peak, even at the entrance. However, they would go on to have an epic match. The Usos showed up with Jay staring at Reigns. Sami would go on to spear Roman, but whack Jay instead. They continued the post-match beatdown on Sami until KO showed up, returning and cleaning house. Sami may have lost at the end, but he ended up getting some babyface shine in his hometown as KO leaves and Sami stared at each other as the PLE goes off the air. Sami searching for KO's forgiveness post-chamber while also looking for answers from Jay, trying to get him to leave the bloodline and stand for himself and see all of the evil in Roman. The Raw in Boston would see Jay leave his brother in the ring, siding with Sami. We get a hug between the two, a true embrace. Sami is elated as he finally got Jay to see the light. But then, boom, a super kick right to his jaw. Jay unloaded it on Sami. You really think I'm choosing you over my family? First and final hug was in Boston. Some would say another peak here in the story. Cody would play moderator between the two, trying to get them on the same page, but KO wouldn't. Because at the end of the day, he thinks that Sami thinks they can do this without being true friends again. That's all KO wants. Took 2 months to get Sami to realize that. It took 2 months to garner each other's trust and respect back. But on the St. Patrick's Day SmackDown, KO would save Sami one more time against the Usos. They would clean house and embrace with a hug to a massive reaction. Perhaps another peak moment. Now, Matt, there's a lot of peak moments here. Quite the trip down memory lane. It was a long one, but it was a great one. What are you going to say for this storyline? And what would be your peak moment for this?
I mean, just kind of going back to what you were talking about, right? Like you think like when you it kind of dawned on me when you said shortly after WrestleMania 38, like just the depth and how long this story's been going. It's so exciting to kind of get that culmination. I would say the peak for me, honestly, would probably be pretty recently, right? When we finally got that build up to the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn embrace. They finally took on the Usos. They finally partnered up. It's what we've been waiting for this whole time. You know, it's kind of like a will they, won't they for a little bit. But when they finally came together and hugged and embraced in front of that crowd, and the crowd went absolutely nuts. It was so cool to kind of see like how we got here. And you went all the way back to WrestleMania 38 last year.
I'm going to seeing him with Johnny Knoxville to snooping around the bloodline to just spend the year of Sami Zayn, his rise. He's a solidified baby face, top tier baby face. Being along in the storyline, really, what got him there. I want to choose which one what peak is the height, because this is probably one of the best stories we've gotten in a long time. It veered off to two very good stories, but this is the heart of it, is the Jay and Sami storyline.
I was gonna say, I think this is when WWE's at their best, right? When you have all these stories that kind of intertwine on one another. You get like, you got Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, but you got Cody Rhodes kind of also playing mediator, and you got Sami and Kevin kind of going at it, and you got the Usos and the Jay and Sami specifically, like all these little stories intertwining to create this big story. I think it's where WWE's at their best when they do stuff like that, and it shows in the story.
Yeah, kudos to them. This is probably the best story they've told in at least decade, maybe two. But I don't know what we're gushing over the story, but what's next for the bloodline? What do you think?
What do I think is next for the bloodline? I think, as begrudgingly as I say this, I think we're moving on. I think, we're going to see a different iteration of the bloodline coming out of WrestleMania. I don't know who's going to get the boot. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think the bloodline is going to evolve to maybe potentially without Roman Reigns or potentially without Jey Uso. I think we're going to get the bloodline, but I think we're going to get a new version of the bloodline after WrestleMania.
Okay, that's cool. And like you said, a lot of alleys we can go down, and we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, what's next for KO and Sami?
Tag team championship run, right? I think, you kind of see an emphasis on all these tag teams kind of coming to light at WrestleMania 2. We get the tag team showcase. There's a lot of cool personalities in the tag team division. I think Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are going to get the chance to kind of get that tag team run that we'd always hoped they've had. Maybe I'd love to see them going up against the Alpha Academy. I'd love to see them going up against Braun Strowman and Ricochet. I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus like a Savage Viking Raiders. I think this is kind of the year where they tell that story of like two best friends kind of realizing their dream together. And I think they've always done it, but they've kind of, one foot in, one foot out. I think with the way things have been, I think we're going to get that full steam ahead, like two lifelong friends being able to share a dream kind of story. And I think it's going to be cool.
Yeah, and you could add in a few potential tag teams like DIY. You could add in potential tag team like an FTR coming back. Maybe, you never know. And then who knows what else they can add, they can build up. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing them at least going on like a 4, 5, 6 month run, and then we'll go from there.
Big title match at SummerSlam would be awesome. I love the showcasing the tag titles.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so what's more appealing to you right now? A Roman Sami rematch or Roman Jey rematch?
I got to go with the Roman Jey rematch, right? I feel like we weren't able to get that full story because it was, in the Thunderdome during COVID. And I think Jey Uso deserves that chance in front of a crowd to shine, because that Hell in a Cell match with Roman Reigns was unforgettable. I really think, I think they did a great job doing the Montreal match between Sami and Roman. I think it was a nice send-off. I don't think we need another one right now. I think, that story is gone and went. And now I think, I'd love to see kind of the cracks in the bloodline out of WrestleMania. Maybe, maybe Roman drops the title, maybe the Usos drop the title, and and Roman all of a sudden blames Jey Uso for kind of the cracks in the foundation. We've kind of seen them teased over and over again. I think there's a lot left to do between Roman and Jey.
I would agree that Jey is the pick, and that, kudos to them. You would think Sami Zayn is a much bigger star potentially, and that was so hot, but the potential of where they could go with Jey is just really astronomical, really.
Absolutely.
So what night of WrestleMania do you see this match, and where on the card?
Well, I think everything kind of got thrown in a loop, right? When they said that Cena and Theory are going to open up Mania.
Mhm.
I'm going to go with confidently saying that this match is going to main event night one of
Okay.
WrestleMania. It's the longest tenured story in WWE right now. I think it's the one the crowd's most invested in. I think if you want to end WrestleMania on a good note with a crowd going absolutely bananas, you put this title on last.
Yeah, I think that's what it should be. I'm a little afraid that they throw Charlotte and Rhea out there, but either way, closing night one, it's very warranted from the story and the build and all that stuff. But I wouldn't. Opening night two is a little intriguing as like a consolation prize too.
Yeah, I definitely that was the kind of the next one that came into my mind was opening night two. You kind of open it with the Usos and you finish it with Roman.
Yeah,
Pretty cool, I think, too. I think it's a good, like you said, a good consolation prize. But if I had the pencil, I'm putting this match on last on Saturday night.
100% agree with you there. All right, the expectations are high here. I can feel it. Do you think it will live up to that hype?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think it's the four best performers in the WWE right now. I think you're going to get a great story. I think
Mhm.
you're going to get a great match. I think you're going to get a great crowd. I think the crowd's going to be into it. I think, no matter what happens in the end, I think the crowd is going to go bananas. Like I said, I think we have a really good opportunity on our hands to see a cool match with some awesome storytelling.
Absolutely. All right, Matt, who's winning?
I'm going to go with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think they're going to win those tag titles and go on a nice little run this year.
I agree with you there, buddy. I wish I could disagree, but this, it should be straight ahead. And then the fracture of the bloodlines, we'll see how and what will happen coming out of this Usos loss. But kudos to Usos. What they 640
Crazy.
days,
Yeah.
unreal.
Champions.
So that's wild. But hey, Matt, this match is probably my most anticipated match of the card, and I was glad we were able to share it and kind of go over it and get people hyped for it.
Very excited. Very excited.
All right, Matt, what do you got to plug before we jump out of here?
Not too much. Not too much. Obviously, you can check me out on Twitter, Matty Cakes 2281, MATTECAKES 2281. I'm always posting daily bets on there, daily articles on there, trying to get my best bets out there. Looking forward to the Final Four, March Madness. Hopefully, getting some WrestleMania best bet articles out there. I'm in the midst of working on that with some of the higher ups. So hopefully, we can get some of that happen. Check me out on Twitter. Always posting content there daily.
All right, and that's through what website again?
Sports Gambling Podcast Network, SGPN.
All right, cool, man. All right, Matty, we'll catch you on the next one, buddy.
Thanks for the time. I appreciate being on. Enjoy WrestleMania.